In 1988, a crime against humanity was committed by the Iranian state. Around 30,000 people were executed in a few months. What happened was that in July 1988, Iran's Supreme Leader Khomeini issued a fatwa ordering the execution of political prisoners, members, sympathizers of the People's Mujahideen Organization of Iran. And in fact, there were two waves to these killings. The political prisoners were executed first, and then there was a social cleansing of the agnostics, the atheists, the apostates, and also those seen as undesirables. Khomeini set up, they were called amnesty commissions, in more than 70 provinces and towns in Iran. They became known as death commissions for obvious reasons. This information has all been verified as evidence has been gathered over the years since these atrocities occurred. What happens is that people were rounded up, including those who had actually served prison sentences and had been released, and also they included those who were actually serving sentences where they had been given by a court. And they were put before the Death Commission. The Death Commission was not in any way a judicial commission or any sort of tribunal which was compliant with fair trial standards. A series of questions were asked, and if the person was not considered to demonstrate sufficient loyalty to Khomeini, he or she was executed by hanging or by a firing squad. Some of the questions included whether he or she was willing to clear minefields for the army of the Islamic Republic, and hesitation was sufficient for execution. Dignity was not even afforded in death. In February 2018, I acted as counsel to a People's Tribunal in Geneva, and there I heard the accounts given by many family members and survivors from this time. Accounts given included that from a father who described that he received the news of the execution of his daughter by being told that the bullets required payment, the bullets that had been used to shoot and kill his daughter. Others gave accounts and evidence of their desperation to find information about the whereabouts of their loved ones in order to bury them with dignity and in accordance with their religious traditions. Their bodies are still unidentified and not located in many cases, dumped in mass graves. One elderly woman I heard from moved me greatly as she spoke of still believing that her son must still be alive somewhere in a prison in Iran, as she had never recovered his remains. An audio tape emerged on the 9th of August 2016 from the 15th of August 1988. And the audio tape evidenced discussions by Khomeini and others, whereby it was made clear by him that pregnant women and girls should be killed. There was to be no exception and no mercy. Moving to the present and what lawyers and activists are campaigning for. There is little progress in addressing this crime against humanity. The late Ashma Jahangir, in August 2017, in her capacity as Special Rapporteur, reported on the mass executions in Iran in 1988 in her report to the UN General Assembly. And it needs to be put firmly back within the orbit of the United Nations. This massacre needs to remain at the forefront of the United Nations considerations when it considers human rights violations in Iran. One reason for this, aside from the international law framework, which also governs Iran, is that if it is not tackled, impunity from 1988 continues to impact and inform human rights violations in the present in Iran. So the international community must do much more. It must explore concrete pathways to truth and justice with a view to ensuring that those suspected of responsibility are prosecuted in fair trials without imposition of the death penalty, and with a view to providing families of victims with reparations in accordance with international standards. Those responsible or suspected of being responsible are not difficult to locate. Many are speaking about their role there, and in fact boasting of their role there in 1988 in recent interviews. For example, Mustafa Mohammadi, forgive me for his name pronunciation, gave an interview on the 25th of July 2019, where he attempted to justify the killings. Montazeri said, as was revealed in the audio recording, the following: "In my view, the biggest crime in the Islamic Republic, for which history will condemn us, has been committed at your hands, and they'll write your names as criminals in the history." The message could not be clearer that a tribunal is required to examine the evidence of what happened in 1988, to provide remedies and reparations with a view to informing and preventing human rights violations in the present and in the future. The families of those who have been killed, disappeared, deserve no less. Thank you.